Hello guys. It's been a while since I made a video. I've been really busy. I had hunting season, now it's fishing season, and I don't get paid to do these videos. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm not trying to sell anything. Not currently. Maybe someday I might try to, I don't know, do some affiliate work or whatever. But the whole thing about me making these videos from the very beginning, like a year and a half ago or whatever it was just to try to be informative, try to help people kind of navigate through getting started shooting with hill style bows and different kinds of arrow tuning techniques and just stuff like that, just basic stuff, just to help people kind of navigate the waters, getting started in it, and or maybe help somebody that's been doing it a while if they're having trouble with something. I have had some subscribers reach out to me in private messages and stuff like that. I've talked to some of them on the phone a few times, and I really enjoy, helping and communicating with people and talking about hunting stories and all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoy that. Gotten quite a few comments. I mean, if you're a subscriber, you can see where there's been quite a few comments on some of my videos. And I enjoy reading the comments too, because sometimes I miss things too. Anyway, I'm glad to be back. I'm going to try to make some videos. This video is just a little bit bittersweet for me. Okay. It's on the good side of this. I'm glad to be back making some videos for you guys and sharing with you guys. The bad part of this is I'm going to talk about something that's extremely negative about bows and hunting and everything else. So you'll have to pardon me if it sounds like I'm ranting a little bit, because that's basically what this is. But there's a deeper meaning, so that when you guys are trying to work out your issues, you buy yourself a bow, you get yourself some arrows, it's not working exactly the way you want it to or where you thought it would or whatever, my videos are intended to try to help you or steer you towards someone that can help you with your issues, okay? This video is about self-proclaimed internet experts. All right. This is going to be kind of a long video. I hope you stay through the whole video and listen to everything that I have to say, because the first thing that I want to make very, very clear is, from the beginning of all of my videos, I have always prefaced everything that I've said that I am not an expert. I didn't invent anything. I am not trying to sell you something. I wouldn't even call myself a professional. Okay. Now, however, I do have minimum 40 years experience with longbows and recurves and arrows and hunting and all that. Okay. I've been hunting since I was a small child. If you count that, probably 50 years I've been hunting. Okay. On my own, So, another thing that I've also made clear was that if I don't know an answer to something, if somebody sends me a question or whatever, if I don't know the answer to it, I bet I know somebody that does know the answer to it. Because you're only a few people removed from the right answer, basically. I mean, that's just common knowledge. Okay. Enough that said, I've tried to clear the air, and I think everybody that knows me and watches my videos and stuff knows what I'm talking about. All right. Last night, this is what spurred me on to make this video. Last night, I was scrolling down through Facebook, and there was a gentleman on there that had a picture of a bowstring that he had made. And which I make my own bowstrings too. It's a variation of the original Flemish twist string. I use a particular number of strands with a particular serving, padded a certain way. That's just the way I do it. Okay, may not be the right way, may not be the best way, but it's the way I do it. Okay. So I commented, he was asking, you know, how his string looked and did it look like it was properly made? I think that was kind of the premise of the question. Okay. And he asked another kind of a technical question about strands or whatever. And it looked to me, it appeared to me, because the string was laying in his hand when he took the picture, it appeared to me that it was probably made out of B50 or B55 or something like that. And it looked like, just from the picture, that it looked like that he had, I don't know, 20 strands or more in the string. It looked extremely thick, okay? Which is nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's functional and it'll last forever, you know. But my suggestion, what I told him was, I said, you know, your string looks well made, which it was. It was very neatly done and very, very uniform, and it looked great. And then I told him that. But it looked like to me that he had overdone it with strands. Didn't know what he was, I mean, I even said that, you know, unless you're shooting an extremely heavyweight bow, you probably have too many strands in your string, is what I tried to say to him. It's not necessary to have that many strands, okay? And that's really all I said. I'll wake up this morning and there was for the lack of a better term, there was a self-proclaimed internet expert that gave, and I'm gonna say some things in this video that might be a little bit questionable. Okay, so be prepared for that. Here's the first thing that's kind of questionable. Questionable language, not questionable facts. This self-proclaimed internet expert proceeds to tell him that you're on the right track and something about elasticity and all this other nonsense. And I responded with, this is the kind of bullshit that turns people off. Really, it is. Did not even come close to answering the man's question, or any question for that matter. It was just him pontificating his ignorant, self-proclaimed expertness on all of us peons, basically is what it was. And I told him about it on the post. I told him, I said, this kind of bullshit right here is what turns people off. It doesn't help the situation. It doesn't remedy the guy's your question. It's not constructive at all. My question is why do you even open your mouth whenever, you know, why would you even participate in the conversation if you didn't have anything constructive to add? And this started into a whole string of comments and things like that. Eventually he got around to calling me a troll because of whatever and all that. And I started laughing because I put on there laughing out loud because this person is the one trolling the internet trying to push his bullshit bowstrings on people because he makes bowstrings. The Flemish twist bowstring is not new. It's been around since the dawn of time, literally, okay? Everything that we use, every material that we use, every number of strands that we use or whatever is a variation of something that was invented millennia ago, okay? So to act like that you can vastly improve upon something that has been vetted very thoroughly over the last 100 years is a little bit nonsense to me, okay? You have to have a certain amount, you should or recommend a certain amount of strands in a string out of any particular material that you're using. You should recommend some type of good serving. You should recommend to pad the loops or not pad the loops. You should do all that if you're trying to help someone, not impart your ridiculous wisdom on someone else. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. You're not helping the guy, so he got absolutely nothing out of your comment. So anyway, he and I went back and forth, and I just thought it was hilarious that this guy was calling me a troll when he's the one all over the internet trying to sell his bullshit bowstrings. So anyway, you know, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there are a lot of people going to the internet. All right, these kinds of issues. I had a friend of mine told me this morning. He said, "Well, these kind of issues 30, 40 years ago were kicked around and discussed and cussed and everything else around a campfire." Okay, and then the conversation was over. Somebody's right, somebody's wrong, both right, whatever. Now, with the internet, literally in the palm of your hand, people get on the internet and look up what's the best bowstring for my bow. Okay? And they are literally looking for a string or how to make a string or whatever. It's literally in the palm of their hand. Well, the thing that pops up more often than not is some self-proclaimed expert that says that their strings are the best in the world. Okay? You as new archers with longbows and recurve and stuff like that, or you're beginners, or if you're trying to want to test something out new or whatever, I highly recommend that you dive into the reviews. Okay? Some people, there's I don't even know the name of them. Some of them have fancy names. Their strings are faster, quieter, whatever. You know, they have all these different fancy names for their bowstrings. Basically, they're essentially a Flemish twist bowstring with different types of materials and padded different ways and got different kinds of serving on them. That's it. That's the only difference in them. Some of them are made, the quality of some of these strings is better than others. Okay. I would say that you can buy a cheaply made string on Amazon, I think, for $6-7. Okay, and you can pay as high as $25 or more for a bowstring if you want to do that. All right. But dive into if somebody is claiming that their string is the quietest in the world, or it's the fastest in the world, or it's the most durable in the world, or whatever, I would recommend that you dive into that particular string. Read the good and the bad. Don't just listen to the good and then forget about the bad. Okay, just kind of take mental notes of that stuff and look at in-depth reviews of these things. But always keep in the back of your mind that they're not doing anything different, really, other than different materials and different numbers of strands and stuff like that. They're not doing anything different than they were doing back when Indians were sitting around a campfire making bowstrings out of horsehair. It's the same thing. Where the English longbows, when they put strings on them, they were doing it 1,000 years ago. Okay, been fighting wars with it forever. So just keep that in mind, you know. And if somebody's claiming that theirs is the best, then you should do your homework. Is all I'm trying to say. If you're not crafty enough, or if you don't have time, or if you don't want to build your own bowstrings and you're going to buy a string from someone, I would just recommend do your homework, do your research, look in forums and things like that. See what people have to actually say about the string. And it doesn't matter who it is. I'm not trying to push anybody's strings here. I'm just saying, just look through it and see if you find anything negative. If you don't find anything negative, you're probably pretty safe with the string, you know. Just don't get caught up in the hype when they start telling you my string is 7 feet per second faster than your string or whatever. It doesn't matter, and I'll tell you why. This is kind of leading me into that. All right, you have basically two kinds of longbowmen or archers or whatever you want to call them. You have people that all they do is shoot at a round target with a 10 ring in the center of it at a specified distance, and they basically are shooting for groups and for 10 ring targets. Kind of lumped in with that group is you have people recreationally and competitively, they shoot at 3D targets, and these 3D shoots and stuff like that. And I'm kind of lumping those together because they are essentially, fundamentally, it's the same thing. You're shooting at an inanimate object where whether it's a target or a 3D target or whatever. You're shooting at something that's inanimate. It's not going to react. It's not going to do anything. So basically, when you see the target, you pull up and you draw your bow. Everything that happens to that arrow is it's all on you. Okay, outside of the weather. Now, if you're outside shooting at 3D targets and you got real strong crosswinds, I get all that. I understand all that stuff. But what I'm trying to say is the target is not going to react at all. So, yeah, you got to look at the wind and things like that. But the reality is the target doesn't move. So it's all on you to make that shot. All right. Now, if that's all you do, okay, which there's nothing wrong with that at all. I see where lots of people, I mean, that's literally their life. They go all over the place from state to state and everywhere else, competing in these 3D shoots and things like that, and that is awesome. It's a perfect way to get to compete, number one, and number two, it's a perfect way to get other people interested in archery, you know, because they got targets to shoot at, you know, and they can shoot as much as they want, really. It's a great thing. It takes a lot of personal skill, and I'm certainly not taking away from that at all. It takes a lot of personal skill. It takes decent equipment to be successful doing that. Okay, it takes a lot of practice, personal skill, dedication. You've got to do all that to be ultimately consistently hit the target in the center. Okay, there is no taking away from that whatsoever. You've got to do that. All right. Now, the other group of hunters are primarily, or the other group of bowmen are primarily hunters. Okay. Totally different, 99% different than target archers. And I'll tell you why. Okay, or why I feel like they're different. A wild game hunter, whether you're hunting deer, hogs, varmints, big game, you know, big game, elk, moose, whatever, African, whatever. These targets are not inanimate objects. Okay, you got to be skillful enough to be close enough to this animal that he's unaware that you're there. That's the first thing. Okay. The second thing is you actually have to execute a shot without, or hopefully without, this animal realizing what's going on. That's another hard thing to do. It takes a lot of skill to do that. The third thing is you actually have to execute the shot and hit the animal in a vital zone where it's going to kill it. Okay, to the best of your ability. Now I'll tell you what complicates that. I was talking to a friend of mine this morning. We both of us been hunting. He's a little older than I am. I'm 58. He's 63. So we both combined, we got about 100 years worth of hunting experience. And I told him when we was on the phone, I said, let me tell you this. Now I've shot many deer in my lifetime. Many deer, many hogs, many varmints. I've killed bobcats. I've killed all kinds of things with my bows. Okay. If you stop and think about this, over 4 or 5 decades, okay, how many times can you remember, let's just say whitetail deer. Let's say killed X amount of whitetail deer. I don't know how many. I killed 3 this year, all right? Before raffle season even started, I killed my meat for the year. Of all of the deer that I've killed in my lifetime with a longbow, or a recurve, or whatever, I tried to think back about any 2 of those deer that the situation was exactly the same as the one before. Now you stop and think about that. You're hunting live animals, and if you have that many years experience and you've killed hundreds of animals over 5 decades, okay, which 2 were exactly the same situation? It is highly, highly improbable that any 2 were exactly the same situation. Now, he brought up a good point. Like in Texas here, we can hunt with deer feeders and stuff like that. All right. There is a little bit of a misconception about how easy that is. Okay. I will have you know, white-tailed deer, or any animal for that matter, but white-tailed deer in a low-fenced ranch that are not fed corn or not fed protein feeders and stuff year-round and raised from babies and then turned loose and all that. I'm talking about wild, low-fenced deer. When they come to a feeder, they are 100%, they are wide awake. They are super nervous. They know that barrel and that corn didn't just magically show up. They know somebody put it there. Deer, especially deer, when they're feeding and they got their head down, they are extremely nervous. That's fight or flight for them. That's the only defense mechanisms they got. And flight is 99.9% of the time their defense mechanism. They even think something's wrong and they run. They're gone. They may come back, but they don't like it. If they don't like something, they may not come back. They didn't even have to see you, or didn't even have to smell you. If they got a nervous feeling about something, they'll just move on. They're not going to stay there. All right? So, I'm not saying that one is better than the other. Okay, I'm not saying that hunters are better than target archers. I'm not saying that target archers are better than hunters. I'm saying that they are two different situations. If you're standing in your basement and you're shooting across your basement 25 feet at a round target in the center, it is very easy. It's easier, I think, to achieve a group of arrows in a controlled room with a round target and there's nothing in your way, nothing, the lighting's good, you're doing that kind of thing. I would think that it would be easier to do that. All right, and it still takes skill. You have to shoot the bow. It's not going to do it by himself. When it comes to hunting, it's a totally different situation. And I have proven to myself and to my family and to my friends over 5 decades that I am perfectly capable of woodsmanship enough to get close to animals and to execute shots and put animals in the freezer. Okay? Outside of that, I do not claim to be any kind of an expert whatsoever, at all. That's not what I'm here to do. What I am here to do is to try to put down some of this internet self-proclaimed expertness, if you will, for the lack of a better term, so that people don't get lost in the weeds when they're trying to actually have their questions answered. Okay. Someone that chimes in on a thread on something and all they're trying to do is peddle their products to you, scroll right by that guy because he obviously doesn't care about you. He just wants your money. Okay? Someone that takes the time to say, look, I don't know if this is the right way, but this is the way I do it. It might be something you might want to try. Those are the kind of people that are trying to help you. And those are the people that I would recommend you try to listen to those folks. You don't have to. It's up to you. You do whatever you want. It's your money. It's your time. You do whatever you want. And lastly, in this video, I have tried, like I've said in some of my other videos, I see these forums, I see these Leatherwall and all these other ones, there's a whole bunch of forums out there. And there's a whole bunch of groups on Facebook and things like that. I have tried, and I've not tried, I just haven't participated in these discussions very much because typically there's a lot of noise on there already. Okay? And I don't want to add to that. After last night, I felt like it was necessary for me to come out and tell you guys, or ladies, whoever might be listening, be careful with people that jump on a thread because you asked a question and they start trying to immediately peddle you their bullshit because that's all they're after. They want to sell you something. All right? They're not extraordinary. They're not experts. They're self-proclaimed. Some of these people act like that they are authorities on archery equipment, whether it's strings, bows, arrows, broadheads, whatever. And I've yet to see anything to support that they're a professional or an expert of any kind. Okay. So That's what I'm saying. Just be careful about that. And again, lastly, I personally do not, I'm not an expert. I just am not, and I'm not ever going to claim to be one. All I'm trying to do is, if I can say something that I feel like might be constructive to help someone, I will do that. Outside of that, I stay out of it, because, you know, if I'm not asked, because personally, if I'm not asked, I don't really bother with it, because you know, I just hate to see people getting lost in the weeds because these other people are doing what they're doing on the internet. And to the trolls that are going to watch this video, and I'm sure I'm going to get some nasty comments and things like that, you guys are not hurting my feelings at all. Okay, you're not. I'm perfectly comfortable in my ability. I'm perfectly comfortable in my equipment, and I'm perfectly comfortable with my friends. And most of my friends, we disagree from time to time about what's best and what's not, and so on and so forth. But it's, you know, it's us bouncing ideas off of people that actually do have 4 or 5 decades of experience each. So we respect each other. We respect each other's opinions, and we do things not necessarily the same way all the time, but we do respect each other. I do not have respect for people that just claim that they're an expert and you need to do this because I said so. That kind of stuff right there, guys. Sorry, I'm just not buying into that. So anyway, glad to be back. Glad to be making videos again. I will be making some videos on a couple other things here pretty soon. And hopefully you guys get some enjoyment out of this. Hopefully you guys get some information. And if you have questions, please ask. Like I said before, if I don't know the answer to it, or at least some type of advice for your question, if I don't know that, I bet you I know somebody I can call, because I do know some for real experts. Okay, so you guys have a great day, and I hope that you enjoyed the video. We'll see you on the next one.